Speaking of batteries, what are the different types of batteries that are available, and what would your recommendations be as far as
the
what
Cadillac
folks need?
of batteries for off-grid living systems are absorbed glass mat, or AGM batteries. These are a dry cell. They're maintenance-free. You never have to add water to them. They're sealed. They take on electrons very fast, and they release them fast when you need them. So you can actually operate with a slightly smaller system because they're not sluggish. They're also about 3 times the cost of the old flooded lead-acid cheaper technologies. That price will come down with time, but right now they are quite expensive. And to create a battery bank of the size that I would recommend, it's going to cost you upwards of $10,000. Gel cells were popular for a while with solar systems. They are becoming quickly obsolete because they are very sensitive to charging rates and voltages. And if you cook them just once, they're dead and you're out. They cost as much as AGMs, again, 3 times as much as your flooded batteries. If you overcook them once, they're gone and you're out your money. No warranty on batteries. The old standbys are 2 species of flooded lead acid batteries. These are just your basic big plastic box filled with sulfuric acid with lead plates hanging in them. The alloys of lead are lead antimony and lead calcium. They behave in very different ways. Your lead antimony are your forklift batteries, your golf cart batteries, your car starting batteries. They're fairly quick. They're good at deep cycling, as are AGMs. You can drive them down to 80% discharge, recharge them, drive them down again. They'll do that between 1,500 and 3,000 times before they die. So you can really push those batteries fairly hard. Lead calcium, you can't do that to as much. On the other hand, lead antimony batteries have a high self-discharge rate. If they just sit there, they can lose up to 1% of their capacity per day, just bleeding it off into the air, essentially. If your system's constantly charging and discharging, that's not a big deal. You just write that off as a 1% inefficiency. If you have a cabin which you leave alone for a long time, you're gone for 2 months, your batteries will be dead when you come back. And if they're dead long enough, they won't come back. They'll stay dead. Just like if you leave your lights on in your car, your battery will never take a charge again. Lead calcium batteries don't like to be deep discharged or deep cycled as often, but they have extremely low self-discharge rates. Lead antimony batteries lose water very quickly and need constant maintenance. I have not added water to our lead calcium batteries in 6 years. They are exactly where they started. Just little flukes of the chemistry. Lead calcium batteries are typically used for telecommunications backup, and you can sometimes find them from telecom companies if you have a friend in the telephone industry, or on eBay, which is where I got mine. They can be bought sometimes quite cheaply, and the nice thing about telecom batteries is they've never really been used. They're just used for backup if the power goes out. So most of their time they're just sitting along on a battery charger not getting discharged. If you buy used forklift batteries, they were probably changed out because they were pretty close to dead to begin with.
How do you size your battery system for your home?
The rule of thumb for off-grid systems is 3 days. You should have enough battery capacity to cover all of your needs with no charging inputs for 3 days. For me, that's shaving things awfully close. Unless you have a backup propane or gasoline or diesel generator, we can go 3 days without wind or sun in Wyoming quite easily. And you're always operating then at a fairly hard regimen on your batteries. You're discharging them a long ways if they're that small, and you're recharging them very quickly, and that's what kills batteries prematurely. So if your batteries are only sized for 3 days of your expected consumption, you can probably expect them to have a slightly shortened lifespan. For the kind of batteries we use in off-grid living, that can be between 2 and 10 years is what you can hope for. If you can find massively oversized industrial batteries, they are a dream to live with. That's what we have, and you'll spend almost your entire life in the top 20% of the capacity. This will not only make them work better, but it will make them last practically indefinitely. We're pessimistically expecting to get 15 years out of our batteries, optimistically 30. So even if they're more expensive up front, once again, you're not fighting them. The biggest mistake people make when they decide to live off-grid is they skimp on their batteries. They'll buy solar panels, they'll buy wind turbines, and not have any money left over for batteries. I say buy your batteries first. We bought ours almost a year before we moved out here. Shop for them, find good ones, find a bargain, but get the largest batteries you can afford, plus a little. I would say 5 days capacity is a minimum. We have 45 days of capacity for a house and a full-time cabinet shop in those batteries down there. Roughly 10,000 amp hours, or 200 and some odd kilowatt hours of power stored. That's a tremendous amount of electricity. But because of that, our batteries are usually in the top 90% of charge. We just don't work them very hard. And we always have the capacity, if the wind turbine falls off the tower again and the sun don't shine for 6 weeks, we're still going. We're not going out and starting a generator and running it for 6 hours a day to charge our batteries. So get the largest batteries you can afford. That's not a place to cut corners.